Hello, everyone. So, I was working on one use case, one automation where there was a need to basically delegate the creation of projects. Now, we all know that when we talk about company managed projects, we do have the option to, uh, of course, create the projects, but it is, of course, limited to the Jira administrators. Of course, when we talk about team managed projects, the permission, there is actually a permission. So if I go to browse, not browse, but I wanted to click on browse global permission, not really that. So if you go to the global permissions, I believe there is one permission that will let you control uh, or basically define whether you want to give permission to your Jira users of a particular group to create a project of type team managed. So let us click on let me show you. So let me just show you. Then I will talk about the problem. So this permission basically is useful. Create team managed projects, and of course you can give this permission to uh, basically a group, which is great. But apart from this, first of all, my recommendation is, uh, I mean, based on my experience, there are very limited use cases which I can think of, especially when teams are working in silos. Then, of course, team managed projects are fine, but usually you need company managed projects, and not because we have to, but because the way Jira works, the way Jira configurations are designed, you can actually mess it up. So, and of course, when you have a common way of working or some standard way of working, in a way, uh, of course, talking about Jira, the way Jira works, it will be useful for you to report. But of course, you want to still streamline the process of creating a new project in Jira. And this is, of course, not very useful if you're talking about a company managed projects. Then someone need to basically raise a request in your support portal to raise a request for a project creation, which is fine. And of course, you can create a project as an admin because you can review. But at the same time, you can also automate this. And I've seen this, and I believe I have made a video on this topic. So if you go to my website, ravisagar.in, just search for create a project, and you will find one video, which is basically Jira Cloud automation. I'm talking about, of course, Jira Cloud automation. Of course, you can do it on data center as well, anyways. But you can create a project, and when you can create a project using REST API, you can of course delegate it, or maybe create some kind of a portal where people can raise a request, or you can of course integrate it with Jira automation and do it using Jira service management based request, which is fine. But and many people do it. But the thing is that you should be careful when letting, do it because it will save your time. But at the same time, make sure that whenever you're doing it, you are basically giving your users an option to choose from existing issues, or not issues, basically schemes. And if you go to mastering Jira REST API, so basically what you can do using REST API as well, you can actually create a project. And when you create a project, you can also define the scheme that you want. And when you're, of course, asking your employees, or whenever someone is interested in this new project, give them options and publish it somewhere that, okay, we have these 4 standard templates, pick one and then do it. But because I've seen in some places they do automate the process, and they don't really limit because when you create a new project in Jira, it can also be created using its own schemes, which is really the last thing that you want to do. You don't really want to create a project called Project Android with its own schemes called Android colon blah 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 scheme and so on. You will basically mess up your Jira instance very quickly if you do that. Of course, using REST API. And The point that I wanted to make in this video is that when you're trying to delegate this project creation, which you should limit what schemes you want to use, and don't really create new schemes on the fly for a new project. So yeah, that is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I think there was a question on the community as well recently, and I thought, okay, let me just make a video very quickly. And you have to basically keep in mind these things if you are a new Jira administrator, because you can do a lot of these things using REST API, like wonderful things like Jira admin stuff, and you may want to automate everything. That is not really a good idea. Always think about what you want to automate and why. And even if you want to automate, of course, you should keep in mind what impact, what things it can mess up. All right, that is it. Bye bye.